What's up, Notre Dame fans? Happy Wednesday. It's Mike Singer from blueandgold.com with Tim Hyde, our resident football coach. Hope you guys are having a good week. Certainly, it's been a busy one at blueandgold.com. Plenty of recruiting information and different stuff going on with the football program. So make sure, head to our website to check it all out. $1 for 1 year of premium access. And we also throw in a free Founders Club hat if you sign up before February 3rd. And you will get an email with that information when that time comes. Hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel. Tim, we're recording this video because you have some things to talk about. You've been texting me. There's some different things you want to discuss. So first thing being some of these new hires. People who want to hear your full thoughts about Harry Hiestand in that hire specifically can go back and watch that video. We're going to talk about Hiestand a lot. But some of the other hires we want to get your thoughts on. Al Washington from Ohio State. Chancey Stuckey from Baylor. Of course, Brian Mason, that hire, the special teams coordinator from Cincinnati, has been reported, and we've talked about him as well. So just kind of what are your thoughts overall about these hires here recently, Tim?
Yeah, I mean it's been interesting because there's been obviously a few new ones that people weren't expecting and whatnot. Obviously, with Coach Taylor getting a promotion, and that's outstanding. It shows the power of Notre Dame, and you go to Notre Dame, do good things, you're going to get promoted, and that's exactly what happened. And with the Elston thing, you know, he, I think reading between the lines, he got passed over for the DC, and I think that's basically what it is. He's been coaching a long time, and he's going to his alma mater. Tip of the hat to him, and say congrats. He did a great job at Notre Dame. But you know what? He did get passed over a handful of times, and that maybe says more about can he be a DC or whatnot. So you know what? He did a heck of a job. I'm more excited. I'll be very honest. I'm really excited about Coach Washington coming aboard. When you read
Why?
his resume, why background? I mean, look at his background. I mean, the guy. First off, he was a heck of a college football player. He's got a great resume with his dad and his being trained by his dad, who played for Woody Hayes at Ohio State. So that tells you a little bit about probably that upbringing. His dad having played for Woody, but who in America has a first round draft choice as a linebacker Coach Devin Bush at Michigan, led the nation in sacks when he coached at Boston College with Harold Landry, first team All-American. So you got a linebacker All-American, a defensive end All-American. And not only that, he was a running backs coach for Ryan Day at Boston College. And that running back was a Heisman finalist. And now he goes to Ohio State, and all four of his linebackers are in the NFL, with them, two of them being a second and third round draft choice. So I think the diversity of a guy who could coach running backs, linebackers, D-line, he's got familiarity with Marcus Freeman, having coached together in 2017, which is an important part, I think, of that relationship, because that's when Luke Fickell took over and got that program up and running, and he was a part of that. So I like his background. I like his resume. And not only that, he's recruited at the highest level, Michigan, Ohio State. And now, we've read Georgia has been after him. He turned down the Tennessee job last year to go coach out there in Knoxville, the state of Ohio State. So obviously he's a very well-respected football coach out there.
And thoughts on Chancey Stuckey? Limited in coaching experience. I mean, just a couple years ago, he was a graduate assistant kind of role at
Mhm.
Clemson, then gets the receivers coach job at Baylor for this past season, and now he's at Notre Dame. But it's not like he's a 23-year-old kid. He's 38 years old. I mean, he's played in the NFL. I know you talk about the Dabo factor with him too.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, that goes right back to that. Exactly. We're not getting some guy who's, who's been a GA for a few years and ND hires him. The guy's got experience, NFL experience. And when I look at this staff, I look at it as, number one is Marcus Freeman's first year. I look at it as, give it a little parallel to a new president. New president comes in, he gets his new cabinet, correct? Same with the head football coach. And now you're starting to see a couple guys have left, a couple guys were not retained. Who is there? And two on offense, you got Reese. Obviously he's a Brian Kelly guy, but I keep going back with Tommy Reese. He's turning Notre Dame into his Alamo. Let's not forget about that quote. I think that's a powerful, powerful metaphor that going forward for Tommy Reese. And who's his buddy? Coach McNulty. McNulty's like, where am I going to coach anywhere in America and get these type of tight ends? So he's going to stay. And I think that relationship going back to the Chargers is going to be long lasting, which brings you right into Stuckey, who obviously played for McNulty in the NFL. I really like that. I go back to the first hire, Brian Mason. He's a Marcus Freeman buddy. They go all the way back to Toledo. And now, and then the biggie coming in there is obviously Coach Hiestand, who is obviously, that's got to be Reese's take right there. Like, hey, if I'm going to be the OC, this is the guy I want to run my offensive line.
Tim, I think we talked about John McNulty. I think me and you are both big fans of
Mm-hmm.
him. I think he's kind of the guy that gets a lot of, or should be getting more credit, maybe, who's not, kind of doing a lot behind the scenes, and veteran coach, longtime NFL guy, tons of
Yep.
connections. Also, here he's a really great man, and he does a good job in recruiting too, so I'm a John McNulty fan. Okay, kind of moving forward here, talking about Harry Hiestand. I know you were doing a lot of watching film of
Mm-hmm.
this past season of Tyler Buckner, and you had an interesting note to me. You're kind of expecting some offensive line blocking changes from what you saw with Buckner running the ball to Harry Hiestand. Kind of what are you expecting there? Can you kind of do a better job of explaining that more than I just did?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you exactly. Especially it's hard without film. But you know what, to everyone out there in blue and gold land is get on YouTube and watch some old film. I mean, there really is a stark difference. Now it's hard when you're watching Quentin Nelson and Ronnie Stanley and these guys trying to compare him to this past offensive line. But I think a lot of it is in the scheme. And Notre Dame during the Hiestand years were downhill, aggressive, aggressive run blocking, maybe overly aggressive at times because they were going to fire out and go straight ahead. And in rewatching some of the Buckner film, it really was a stark contrast to, watching a few of the Hiestand games. And I've spot shouted some of the ones from 12, 17. I was just watching Michigan State from 2017 today when they upset top 10 Michigan State. So big time get offs, really, really big vertical takeoffs is what the offensive line showed. Where this past year with Quinn, was it an inexperience thing? Was it just, take more side to side steps, catch guys instead of physically just trying to punish people? And I thought Harry Hiestand's offensive lines were just physically going to punish you, no matter if it was the great line of 2015 and 17 or even as 16. I made a little note here about Coach Hiestand is put on any game film, whether it's a successful one or a bad one. I went last night. I literally sat back and wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm watching 2017 Notre Dame at Miami. And she was like, what for? Because I
Ooh,
want to watch the offensive line. And you know what? Those dudes got off the ball and attacked the heck out of Miami. We won't talk about the quarterback play that night, but the offensive line, it was bad. The offensive line looked like every other game from that Joe Moore award-winning year. They look like the film I watched in 2012 with Chris Watt, Zach Martin. So it's going to be a stark difference because of what Hiestand teaches, and it's very physical double teams and really, really violent vertical takeoffs on defenders.
now Notre Dame had some very physical running backs with
Yes.
Harry Hiestand's offensive line. Chris Tyree, it's not like he's not a physical back, but he's much more of a speed back, and he's a guy well under 200 pounds. You know, do you think that this kind of lends more to Logan Diggs, who's more of a physical back? Audric Estime is certainly a big back. How do you kind of see Chris Tyree fitting in, and any thoughts there about the type of running back in this offense?
Great question, because that was one of the first things I popped out on.
It was your question, Tim, so
Oh
good
yeah,
question for
I
you.
know, but it was one of those when watching film, trying to compare, because people think CJ Procise was just a little swing back and throw him the ball outside. CJ Procise would get in the pistol and just pound the ball right down your throat. Tarian Folston the same way. I mean, Notre obviously, when they had Riddick on the 2012 team, I mean, they were going to run downhill, Sierra Wood and those type of guys. So they were going to get after you. Are these backs that type of guy? Chris Tyree has never showed it. Can he be the guy moving forward now into his third year? He's going to have to, because I think Estime is that type of guy when you just see the few carries he has, even going back to his film. And I think Logan Diggs is going to be a big downhill physical presence. And even the freshman they got coming in from Texas, Price is that type of running back. So Tyree's got the speed factor. He's had explosive plays. If he buys in and is willing to go straight ahead into someone violently downhill, I think he could be perfect because the O line is going to change. Hiestand's not going to come in and do things other than the way he's going to block them. And it is going to be a big difference. I think Notre Dame's going to see right away when we watch the videos in this spring football.
Tim, can I appoint you the Harry Hiestand fan club leader, the president of that? Maybe someone's already taken claim to it.
Well, there's a lot. You know what? There's a lot of them, and it's funny because I followed Notre Dame for a long time, but I remember when he got hired. You could read some of the old blue and golds in the readers. The letters to the editors, and people were like, "Who's this Harry Hiestand? He got fired from the University of Tennessee. Who is this guy? Got fired from the Bears when they went to the Super Bowl, and he was on that staff." So hey, we're kind of getting this with Coach Washington coming aboard with Elston, and hey, coaches come and go. Fans are always a little picky on who they are, but they're coming to Notre Dame, and obviously they have the chops to coach here, and Coach Hiestand's definitely one of those guys.
Tim, I'm gonna make you jealous real quick. You like this shirt right here?
Oh, I like that. There
I
you
know I
go.
got it. Tim, you know that I don't wear too many different polos when we do these shows. I have
Yeah,
I've got a little bed sitting right here with about 4 different shirts, and I just kind of rotate through them. So I got a new shirt to throw into what my repertoire here for these videos. So
I
yeah,
love it.
Blue and Gold on 3 Sports Network. Subscribe for just $1 for your first year premium access, and we'll throw in as well a free Founders Club hat. So make sure to go to blueandgold.com to check that out. Hit the thumbs up on this video. Tim Hyde, Mike Singer. We'll catch you next time.